Why be easy when you can just die? Woo! Wow, I'm Chewy Mew, and welcome to my channel, but more specifically, welcome to another Chewy Mew video, where today, you messed up your intro, you idiot. Why be easy when you can just die? Woo! I'm Chewy Mew, and welcome to my channel, but more specifically, welcome back to Venom Month, day number 9. And quickly behind the scenes, Venom Month, I started it without really having any plans or preparations for it. I just happened to get lucky and happened to order some figures that were Venom themed right as I decided, hey, I'm gonna do Venom Month. So I've been very behind. My goal was to upload one video a day. And, you know, you would think I would have planned this out, and you know, today's day number 9. It's a Thursday, or no, it's, Thursday, March 9th, and it's almost 4 p.m. And you would think by now, you know, day number 9's video would already be uploaded. No, I haven't even done any recordings for today, but I have a bunch of symbiotes over here that I'm going to be reviewing rapid fire, all back to back. Yeah, you guys are probably going to notice as the days go by in these videos, my voice is going to slowly deteriorate until eventually I'm not going to be able to do the woo at the start. But here we go. The first symbiote we're going to be taking a look at today is the Hasbro Spider-Man Origins. They call him Secret Wars Spider-Man, and that is this guy right here. See, I don't know why they call him Secret Wars. I mean, I guess it does kind of apply. This is the Hasbro re-release of the Toy Biz figure, and it sort of kind of moves on its own, because I did some customizing and some fixes to it, so technically you could call this a custom, because the original one had a couple problems here and there. Luckily, I managed to get another one, which is this one here, in a mystery box a few, maybe a year ago. I don't even know. I've lost track of how many months stuff has been. And this is the one that the one I got as a kid. I took his arm off because I gave it to Spider-Man Unlimited because he had a weird, not posable arm. And since I got a new one, I figured it's okay if I kind of modify this a little bit. And then his other hand is also used for a Spider-Man Unlimited. I did repaint it because basically all of the silver web line, or all the spider on him came off. So, that guy, he's not dead, but he's definitely going to rest in peace for a while. But either way, as far as this figure goes, like I said, I got it in a mystery box. He does have a loose elbow. I mean, it's kind of loose, but it doesn't fall on its own, so that's okay. But let's take a look at the face here. So that is the face. He has like some fuzz on his face. I will say, I never had the Toy Biz version. The other version I have, it's the same as this, just, it's the same figure. The only issue, maybe compared to the Toy Biz one, is the plastic on this does feel a bit cheaper. Like, the plastic on this does feel cheaper than, like, Toy Biz figures. Like, if you compare these two, I mean, this one's heavier because he has magnets, but the quality on the plastic, like on the legs and stuff, this one feels higher quality material compared to this. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, but that's just how it feels. But I think the paint apps, Hasbro did pretty good with these paint apps. I feel like they've always been consistent with, in the early days like this, they didn't do any fancy paint, they didn't add any wash or anything like that, or they didn't really add many details to figures, they kind of just did the bare minimum. But with whatever paint apps they did put was usually pretty clean. Like, look how clean these eyes are. I would say this is on par with, like, modern Hasbro as far as how clean the paint apps are. You can see there's like there's some plastic, like where the mold was combined. This part's all cracked because I had to do some modification to it. Because the torso ball joint got really loose. Like, I moved him a little bit and then it got super loose, so I had to tighten it. And it does move back on its own, which is kind of unfortunate, so Spider doesn't line up. But yeah, the cracks, that's me. But like these little lines you can see right here, that's from using cheaper plastic and where they combined the mold together. I guess they didn't try I don't know, I guess Hasbro is still kind of learning how to do Marvel Legends figures, or there's like some red stuff on the butt. I did have to do modification to it because the pelvis wouldn't stay back together. So the figure visually may not look the best, like this part is sticking out here. I might go back and, you know, fix this more. But as far as it goes, this body, I think, well, Toy Biz, Hasbro's not his fault for this. They reused the Iceman body from Marvel Legends series whatever. I don't remember what series that came out. Okay, so upon doing some research, that Iceman is from Series 8, and it was released in 2005. So I've heard people saying that this figure reuses the body of Iceman, but turns out this figure came out in 2004. I don't have the packaging here, but I know it came out in 2004 along with Cyber Spider-Man. And so this one came first in 2004, that one came out in 2005. So, Black Suit Spider-Man actually used this body first. His legs are kind of loose. I mean, not really. I had to do a lot of modification because the way I was trying to fix the torso joint because it was super floppy. It was like as floppy as these legs, so it was kind of weird. But as far as that goes, so this figure came first. I mean, kind of makes sense because Spider-Man is well, I mean, especially in the 2000s was the most popular superhero, definitely the most popular Marvel superhero. So obviously that's where they gave Spider-Man his entire separate wave with like, I think like 12 different waves. Marvel Legends got almost the same, but that's for like all Marvel characters. Spider-Man got 12 waves just for his own characters. I mean, Daredevil showed up, but that's beside the point. But as far as it goes, I think it looks really cool. The Spider logo is also very clean on this. I think the only difference between this and the Toy Biz one is the design of the eyes. I think the other ones are a little bit kind of closer to the Bagley eyes, and then the Spider logo is probably identical, just painted silver. And then he didn't have dots on his hands, so I actually put the dots myself. They don't look the cleanest. I mean, no, they look pretty good. I mean, this one looks really good as well. I think the paint apps are good for what there is. I'm not a huge fan of Black Suit Spider-Man figures, considering there's not really much you can do to Black Suit Spider-Man to make it look cool. I mean, all you could really do is like make the eyes and the Spider logo, three-dimensional, whether they're popping out or sort of caved or concave or convex, or like Black Suit Spider-Man here, Spider-Man Classic Series 1, he has like blue wash here and there, but I feel like you don't want to overdo it, or else it's going to look like he's blue with black on him, which would look kind of weird. But I feel like generally there's not a whole lot of stuff you could do to a Black Suit Spider-Man figure other than making the elements of his costume raised. Like Red Suit Spider-Man, there's a bunch of stuff you could do, like raise the webbing and stuff. Sculpt. I mean, they could have sculpted like the fabric stretching on his body, but I guess it's a symbiote, so it wouldn't be like fabric stretching. It's just like, it's kind of like just wrapping around his body very tightly. But either way, I think it looks cool. Like I said, there's not much you can really say about the Black Suit Spider-Man costume, because as long as you nail as long as you just basically get the paint apps really clean, that's kind of all you can do if it doesn't have sculpting. But as far as that goes, I guess let's take a look at let's take a look at the bottom of the foot here. It says, trademark 2006 Marvel, and this other one, it says, oh no guys, Hasbro made in China, as opposed to saying, Toy Biz. But yeah, this is not my first ever Spider-Man figure. This is my first ever Spider-Man figure holding a screwdriver. The only difference between this and that one is obviously the amount of damage they've taken, and this one has magnetic hands. But yeah, at least the original Black Suit Spider-Man that I had, the Black Suit Spider-Man, when this Spider-Man got the symbiote, he would turn into this. Funny enough, at this point, when I got this Spider-Man figure, when I got my original one, when I got it in 2006, oh dear, I think my tripod just broke. I'll be back. Well, good news, my tripod didn't break. It just took, the clip I bumped it and the clip came off really weird. But yeah, like I was saying, when I finally got this Black Suit Spider-Man was in 2006, and my first ever Venom figure I got here in like 2002 or 3 or 4, I'm gonna say like 2002 or 3. I think I got him after the movie Green Goblin. So by the time I got Black Suit Spider-Man, or before I got him, I already had these two Venoms, Sinister Six Venom and my first ever Venom figure, and then a Red Suit Spider-Man. I didn't have any Black Suit Spider-Man figures, so at this point I was already playing with these two Venom figures for a couple years before I even got this. So my first ever Spider-Man figure I got in like I said, 2002 for my birthday in December. And then about 4 years later is when I finally got a Black Suit Spider-Man. So for the longest time, I didn't have one. So what I would do is, since I didn't have a Black Suit Spider-Man figure, I would just use a Power Rangers in Space Black Ranger, and then I would just pretend like that was my Black Suit Spider-Man. But it's funny how when Spider-Man fought Venom in my headcanon, like as far as playing with my toys as a kid, Spider-Man fought Venom before Spider-Man got the symbiote, because I didn't have a Black Suit Spider-Man. I also didn't have any black Power Rangers that even looked close to it. All I had at the time was like Dino Thunder, but the Black Ranger looks nothing like, doesn't even look close to Black Suit Spider-Man, completely different. But either way, I put the wrong figure. I was holding the wrong figure. As far as it goes, let's take a look at the posability on this guy. So he has quite a lot of posability with a couple issues here and there. As far as the head goes, it looks all the way up. It looks all the way down. He has a rotation here in the neck and a rotation at the base of his neck. So what you can do is you can rotate the bottom joint sideways and then rotate the top joint. You could have his head angled at different angles. Like you can have a posed, you know what I mean? You can have him, it kind of works as like a ball joint in a little bit. It's similar to the one that Sinister Six Spider-Man has, except Sinister Six Spider-Man has a hinge on the bottom of his neck too. He has butterfly joints, which I'm pretty confident that the Toy Biz version had better butterfly joints. And there is a bit of a QC issue with these Hasbro figures, where you can see my original one, the arms bend in this, they go in this far and they go back that far. Compare it to this one, where my old one goes in, bends out a lot farther. It goes back, they go back about the same. So can you see that? Like, it's hard to, I feel like it's hard to show it, but you can see how my old figure, his arm bends in more. It might be because the joints are loose, but I'd like to think the Toy Biz one is probably on par with this, maybe slightly better. Could even be worse, possibly. He also has this armpit joint that on this one, maybe the Toy Biz one is better, like I keep saying. He has an armpit joint that it allows the arm to go up like this. Unfortunately, when I got this, it was in a mystery box. This one was. Someone already cut the plastic off of this one, because I guess without it, it doesn't move. I guess it gets stuck or something. I don't know. But it's kind of weird. I mean, it works. I feel like on Sinister Six Spider-Man, it works a lot better than him. Other figures, it works better. On this one, it doesn't work as good. But then you have a ball joint shoulder that goes all the way up, all the way around. Rotation here in the upper arm. You get a double bend in the elbow. This top joint is a little loose. Rotation here in the wrist. You get a hinge in the wrist. And then you get the open, you get like a fist hand, which I think it's okay, because Black Suit Spider-Man, he doesn't shoot web like a thwipping hand. He shoots like this, doesn't he? Like, he puts his fist out and he shoots it. I remember that happening in the 90s cartoon, where he puts his hand out, where he puts his hand out to shoot a web, and before he actually does this motion, it shoots a web out of the top of his wrist. He's like, oh, this costume makes its own webs. And then in Spectacular Spider-Man, he says the same thing too. So he doesn't really need web shooting hands, because, I mean, if he had individual finger joints, that would be great. He doesn't have it, though, and that's okay, but you do get a good open hand, and then you get a fist hand, which is pretty cool. So as far as the original figure on this, he did have a ball joint torso that it only rotated like this, and then if you wanted to move it forward and back, that's like all you got. You got like, it didn't even work, really. You have a waist swivel that, I modified the figure, but the waist swivel is the same. The ab crunch would only go forward like this much. I can actually show you. The original ab crunch on this figure would go forward about, mine is really loose, so I put glue dots and it didn't work. He goes back that far and goes forward this far. And then the ball joint, you can see the ball joint, I mean, it does move a bit, and then that's as far as it rocks forward and back. The waist swivel on this one broke, though. But as far as, it bugs me so much how the ball joint is, like, constantly moving. But now the waist can rotate, or the upper torso joint can rotate all the way around. It does go forward and back a lot better. Kind of goes side to side. But then the ab crunch goes forward, not much more, and goes back. I mean, not really much more. Honestly, I thought it worked better than that after customizing. It works a bit better, ever so slightly, which allows you to get them in slightly more crouched poses. But yeah, he can do the splits with the legs. You rotate in the thigh. The legs kick forward. About 90 degrees. They go back barely. Not really. Yeah, they kind of go back a little bit. You rotate the upper thigh. You got a double bend in the knee. Rotation here in the boot. No ankle pivot, which is okay. The foot goes forward, back. The toe bends down, and it bends up. And fun fact, if you don't have an ankle pivot on a figure, you can rotate the boot cut. And then boom, that kind of works like an ankle pivot. It's not as efficient as an ankle pivot, but it gets the job done. If you his ankle doesn't bend down all the way, but if a figure's ankle bends like completely flat, it does work better. But either way, I really do like this figure. I want to get the Toy Biz version just to see if the plastic quality is really cheaper on this one, or if that's just how this figure feels. Because a lot of the other Spider-Man Origins wave, which is 2006 by Hasbro when they first took over making Marvel figures, they tested it with Spider-Man before they did any other characters, because Spider-Man was obviously going to make them the most money. And a lot of the figures, they did cheap out on quite a bit. Some of the figures were really high quality plastic, but most of them did feel cheaper. But yeah, so unfortunately, some of them do feel a bit cheap. This one, I don't know. I can't really compare it to the Toy Biz one because I don't have it, so I can't say if this feels cheap. But comparing it to something like this one, I mean, this one does feel kind of cheap too. This is when Toy Biz was kind of figuring out plastic. I feel like this one might be a little higher quality. Like the legs on these feel a little, I don't know, higher quality. It's really glossy, which makes it look kind of toyish, a little too like plasticky. This one not as much. But I kind of like this one. I really do like it. I like the posability. Just basically, my only issue is these armpit joints are kind of dumb, and then the ball joint torso doesn't really work for rotation. I will say Hasbro did do better than Toy Biz as far as ball joint ab crunch combo. But like on Sinister Six Spider-Man, he doesn't even need a ball joint. He's just that good. But either way, that's all for this video. Let me know what you think about this figure, and I will see you guys in the next day of Venom Month. Bye, guys. Wow. I just realized I messed up my own outro. Wow.